So let me tell you a little story while I do my makeup. If you don't already know who I am, hi, my name is Bree. I'm a religious trauma coach helping folks to reclaim their spirituality, intuition, and values so they can live confidently into the true purpose for their life in the most aligned way possible. So I get a lot of comments from people who are always a little bit confused when I say that I grew up in a cult, because when they hear the word cult, they automatically think commune. And I'm here to talk a little bit more about why cult is a much bigger conversation than just those living in communes. So, a little behind the scenes about my life. I grew up in Canada, in the province of Ontario, and the cult that my parents joined, they found and they connected with the pastor and his wife when I was just starting grade 2. So, most of my life. We started off in the pastor's living room on his farm, in his farmhouse, and ended up transitioning to the school gym at a local-ish Christian school. And then we were, at least I was, in that cult for the next 20 odd years. So most of my growing up in formative years, and even some of my older teen and young adult years, were spent in the cult that, was very focused on purity culture and very focused on power and control, especially the dynamic of, the Christian patriarchy. So the men being the head of the women, controlling the women and the girls. And a lot of emphasis was put on how we should behave ourselves around other boys and men. So suffice it to say that by the time I did finally leave, I had a lot of deconditioning to do, and there was a lot of conversation, with my parents, especially my mom afterwards, that looking back now, I can see a lot of it was just really entrenched in fear, and she didn't know how to handle having a relationship with me if I was outside of this protection circle. And so there was a lot of talk about so-and-so is a prophet, right? And so a lot of continuance of the power and control dynamic from a place of fear, because there's just this othering that happens, especially inside cults. But I notice in a lot of evangelical churches, even still today, there's a lot of othering, and that if you stay here inside with us, it's safe, but out there it's not safe. And when I finally did leave the church, that was really what I thought was the end of it. But obviously, leaving the church, leaving the cult, was really only the beginning of my own healing journey. One of the things that really helps for me to share when I am sharing with people who are well, was it actually a cult or just a church, is when I share, that the leader of the church was considered to be a prophet, and heard things directly from God that were extra biblical, and also said that he had been to heaven and hell twice. So he had died and been sent back twice. So there was a lot of when you're inside of that kind of a church dynamic, a church environment, how do you argue with the person who's literally met God and seen hell? And then the other thing that really helps people to put it into the context of a cult is when I talk about how the prophet wrote a book and talked about how he had seen babies in hell because of predestination. If you're not familiar with predestination, that means that God has already decided when someone is born whether they're going to be in heaven or hell. So it kind of loses me, because how do you have free will? How do you have choice if predestination is the thing? Anyway, the babies that were in hell died as babies, but if they had lived, God already knew what their life was going to be and that they would end up in hell. So when they died as babies, they went to hell. That big red flag for a cult. So this is the cult background that I came from. I left the cult when I was 26 for the last time finally. It had taken me a lot of time to really get out and leave. And a lot of people who leave cults will have a very similar story, that like there's a lot of stuff that keeps us there, a lot of fear, a lot of control, and we are afraid of losing our entire community because we know that when we leave, we are going to lose any family, friends, etc., mentors, etc., that have been a big part of our life, especially for those of us who grew up in those places, and our entire lifelong community is in there. So I finally left for the last time when I was 26, and I am turning 38 tomorrow. So that's my little story time. I have spent the last 12 years deconstructing from a very harmful, high control religion that I would call a cult rather than a church. And now I have trained with a coaching program that is registered with the ICF, and I'm working towards my ICF certification for my ACC credential. And I am helping folks who aren't just leaving the church. They've been out for a while, but they're at the point of their deconstruction and healing journey where they're ready to tap more into coaching than therapy, and really like tap into their values, get reconnected with their intuition, and reclaim spirituality on their own terms. So these are folks where atheism maybe just doesn't land, just doesn't resonate, and they do feel that they are still spiritual but very different than how they were raised. And so I'm hosting a free event, a 5-day challenge at the end of August. If you are interested in finding out more about that, we are going to be going through my coaching framework, Awareness to Action, doing lots of visualizations and some card pulls and some live coaching. So if you want more information, just drop a comment here, workshop, and I will reach out to you in the DMs and answer any questions that you might have. I am more than happy to chat with you in the DMs, or you can click the link in my bio and check out any of the information there about any of the programs that I'm currently running. And if you stuck around for this long, you're the real hero, because this was a long AF video. So welcome to my world. I hope to see you around here more, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. All right, have a good day, y'all.